Hey guys, welcome back, it's Muzz Modeler and we're back at Drayton Manor. So today we're kind of looking at the action park area again. Obviously last time we built Splash Canyon, which is the River Rapids ride. I'm sure many of you have noticed it's not that accurate, so I'll probably go back and amend it at some point, but for now it looks pretty enough for me to deal with it anyway. And what I started off doing was just placing some trees around sort of G-force, as I know there is a fair bit of foliage in this area. It's actually a really pretty park, I think, Drayton Manor overall. Not quite with the grandeur of Alton Towers, but it's still a very nice area. So I then went back and tried to fix the land around where I'd put the train down, and for some reason I was just completely inept at doing this, so it took me several attempts to do it. I don't know what I was doing really. But I made a pig's ear out of it, but eventually I did get it right, or I got it to a point where I was just like, you know what, that'll do. So eventually I just smoothed it all out, there we go, and it's not looking too bad now. Relatively okay with how it looks. I'm a bit sad still about that bridge, but never mind. And from what I remember, it's kind of a gravel sort of texture underneath the train. In like real life Drayton Manor. I'm not sure how far that sort of goes, so I just kind of did it to the end there, so it's in the action park sort of area where people can visibly see it. The rest of the park is kind of, say, like concrete, so you don't really have that issue as much. So I put the entrance to the boat ride, swinging pirate ship ride. Now again, from memory, there's not really much of a queue outside the actual ride itself at Drayton Manor for this ride, so I just kind of built a generic queue really, thought that, you know, that'll do really. So now I wanted to kind of close off this area behind Maelstrom, so I was just putting down some bushes really, just so that as a customer standing in the queue, you couldn't see kind of just the barren grassland behind it, so it was kind of felt a bit more enclosed, felt like you were in an actual area, which I feel like is how it is in real life, but can't quite remember. But that's what we're going with for now anyway. We'll always amend it if we need to. So what I thought I'd do next is have a look at Splash Canyon again. So first of all, I just wanted to extend the station a bit more. Not sure how many trains or anything they have in real life to say. It is currently closed, so when I went I didn't get the opportunity to ride it, so I just made it a bit bigger and I thought that looks kind of okay. So what I did after that was I started going on to the station building. Now the station building is themed around the rest of Action Park, which is kind of like this sort of rusty, rundown sort of buildings, and I kind of knew what I was doing with this at this point, so I just tried to build it all along, but I didn't align it properly. So I went in and actually made sure that it fit, and I was just building it all the way along. And this is a really simple structure. I kind of know what I'm doing at this point, so it didn't take me too long to do it. Just put a few windows randomly around, and then it was a case of just kind of making sure it looked okay. I really am starting to get the hang of building, I think, a bit more. When I first did the first one, which was for Shockwave, I felt really uncomfortable. I didn't really know what I was doing, but when I got to this point I was like, yeah, you know what, I kind of understand what's happening now. So that's been a good learning curve, I think. So what I remembered is I need to somehow leave space for the entrance and exit, because of the way I've put this in, a bit stupidly, it's going to be slightly off the placement that I can put in. So what I've done is I've just left that little blank area, which I'll fill in later on. So I just wanted to carry on with the rest of the building and get it all done. So I was just filling in the underneath section, making sure that it's like a complete building, not just kind of partial. And there we go. So that's that bit done. So now I'm just mirroring it the other side. I do of course realise that I could have actually just copy and pasted, but it was too late really from when I'd started building to just do it. So never mind. Now I went for the actual like steeped roof on this one because Shockwave was already really tall, which is why I didn't really do it, but I think I might go back and amend it because this like sloped roof does actually look really nice, and it's got that like worn out rusted feel to it, which is kind of what this area goes for, so I was a lot happy with how it looked on here. And I wasn't really sure whether I wanted to go for like a interesting corner or if I was just going to flatten off the top bit. So I was just kind of playing around with what options I had and reevaluating how I wanted the roof to look. In the end though, I did actually just kind of continue how it already was. But I think I faffed around a little bit more. And then if I remember, I couldn't work out how to make it look okay. So I thought I had the wrong piece and then bam, got it right. So it's kind of carried in and carried on even, and filled in the remainder of the building with this, I think it's a 1 meter sloped roof. I think it's just called corrugated metal roof, I think. And then this time I remembered I could just duplicate that, boom, flip it round, and it's done. So it's now just a case of me filling in these little gaps now to make sure that it actually looks like a complete building, as opposed to looking like an unfinished wreck. Which, you know, with my building skills is normally what most buildings look like anyway, so it wouldn't really be too much of a surprise. But I was really trying to make this one look actually relatively okay, and I think I did okay in the end. So I noticed there were a few bits that kind of hit the track, so I just went back and removed those, filled in the under bit again, because again I wanted to be a complete building from wherever you looked. There we go. Filled in these little side bits because I hadn't gone all the way to the bottom into the water. Again, can't really remember what exactly this building looks like, but from what I remember it's this sort of look. As I say, it was closed off, so I didn't even get to go inside it. Now that bit, I do know that I have kind of messed that a little bit up. It is kind of protruding slightly, but just kind of going to go with it. For now I was just trying to get the basic buildings in place, and I'm going to go back and do all the fine details later on once I've kind of finished with the rest of the park. So I'm kind of keeping tabs on what I'm doing, and I'll go back and fix them later. But overall I was really happy with how this turned out. It's a lot better than I think the other buildings were, and it feels a bit more scaled as well compared to my Shockwave one, which is pretty big for what it is. But never mind. So now I was putting the entrance and the exit in. Again, didn't get to go on this ride, so not sure how they look, so I just kind of built a generic sort of pathway in. I'll theme it up at some point, I suppose. Then it was kind of fixing these little bits, and I wasn't really sure how to do this. I was just looking for like a column or something, and then I think after I messed around a little bit, but what I did find was something that was actually relatively suitable, which we shall see. There we go. So I found this little column, and I wasn't really sure how I was going to fit this in, so I was just trying to think for a moment really how I was going to make sure it actually fit in the right place. And what I figured is I'd just have to clip it in and get it at the right rotation. So as you can see, it does kind of work. The texturing's a little bit off, but you know, it's better than just having a massive gap, so I just kind of went for it really. And it was quite easy for me to just then pull it along, make sure it still fit in relatively nicely, and there we go. That's all done. From a distance you can't see it at all, obviously quite close up, yeah, you're going to notice there's like a panel difference, but you know what, I still think it looks relatively okay, and I was quite happy with how that looked overall. So what I then decided to do is just have a look at the Stormforce 10 building, and this does not look good, guys, like at all. It looks terrible, so I'm definitely gonna have to go back and see what I can do on this, because I am ashamed. Like, even for my building skills, it's absolutely terrible. But yeah, I'm not too sure what I'm gonna do for this, because it is like an actual glass building from what I remember. But I think I'm just gonna have to do it as like a white wall building, because not liking this texture anyway, but also the building's just gonna be hideous. I'm gonna have to move this whole section around because it just doesn't work. So what I need to do is get the building in line with the queue, because the queue does go directly behind it. In fact, as you go in the queue, there's a little vending area where you can buy like waterproof, like those ponchos you get on water rides, which I never understand, because you're going on a water ride, you're going to get wet. But for now I just kind of built a building and it looks like garbage, but hey, I just wanted to get something in place, so I felt like, yeah, you know what, that can be done for now until I figure out what I actually want to do with that. And then I just wanted to get this little bit filled in with gravel, so it looked a little bit nicer. And that was it really, all done.